all, I'm Ernie with my friend Pat. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today about the Union Steamship Company. And where we are right now is in Selma Park, and where I'm standing in what was known as Holy Joe's Rock. And Holy Joe's Rock is where the first wharf was built. It was actually built by the All Red Line Steamship Service. They put a wharf here at Holy Joe's Rock. They built some cabins, they dance pavilions, and it was set up as a nice summer resort. Shortly after, that was in 1914, shortly after 1917, they actually sold this Selma Park Resort to the Union Steamship Company. And the Union Steamship Company, that's when they started putting in their Lady series boats. The first boat was the Lady Evelyn, and the Lady Evelyn was used to bring tourists and big social gatherings to Bowen Island, Selma Park. Eventually the Union Steamship Company also bought the Whitaker Wharf and opened that as a resort. And these ships would also go up to Powell River and drop stuff off at their various areas. So the first ship was the Lady Evelyn, I believe was followed by the Lady Alexandra, then was the Lady Cecilia, Lady Cynthia, and then the Lady Rose. And the Lady Rose was ordered and built in 1937 in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland. It was brought across the Atlantic Ocean. It was the first single-screwed, single-engined ship to come across the North Atlantic under its own power. It came through the Panama Canal. It fought hurricane force winds on both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. And one of the last entries from the captain in the logbook coming into Vancouver was, "Thank God we're here," because I guess he had been battled and beaten, and it was quite an event to get the Lady Rose here to Canada. So it rolled into Horseshoe Bay, or into Vancouver Harbor in July, I think July 10th, 1937. It was soon put into service, and it worked on the East Howe Sound run for quite a few years. There's a very interesting story in Britannia Beach, but soon after being into service, the war broke out in 1939. And the Lady Rose was used. It was put on a route up to, I believe it was called York Island. York Island at the top of Georgia Strait was York Island Fort. So the Lady Rose was used to transport military personnel, artillery personnel, supplies, and what they needed for the support, the York Island Fort. Soon after it was doing that, it was actually requisitioned by the Naval Force, and it was put into service for all kinds of different naval duties and Air Force duties on the West Coast. And it was requisitioned right up until 1946. After 1946, after the war, some of the Union steamships were put out of service because there wasn't as much of a demand. And I believe in 1951, the marina over on Tofino bought the Lady Rose, and they used that ship till 2012. And now it's in Porpoise Bay. There's a society that's talking about getting together as a museum. I best wishes to them. I'd love to see that thing go back into service, and once again patrol up and down the coastline like it did for so many fateful years. So anyhow, that's a quick little bit about the Union Steamship, a little bit about Selma Park, a little bit about Holy Joe's Rock, and a little bit about the history of our great Sunshine Coast that we live on. So see you another day. Hee-haw, hee-haw.